Grab your print or digital copy of Go Queen magazine today. Stay inspired by the incredible stories and features inside. Visit our website to grab your copy now. Hey Queen, welcome to another episode of the Q Chat. Today, we're thrilled to be joined with the incredibly talented trio Chapel Hart Band. Hailing from Mississippi, this country music band has been shaking up the industry with their unique blend of country, soul, and rock. With powerful vocals, authentic lyrics, and a bold approach to storytelling, Chapel Hart is redefining what it means to be a country band in the modern era. Join us as we explore their rise to fame, the inspiration behind their hit songs, and the strong bond that keeps this family act going strong.
Just bring about a business, working hard on a mission. Head high, purpose driven, crown on, never tilted, go queen. Go queen. Go queen. Go queen.
So thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat. Today, my very special guests are the beautiful Chapel Hart Band, and we're going to talk about their beginnings. I have a lot of Southern roots too, so they're from Mississippi. They also have some roots in New Orleans, and you guys may be familiar with them from America's Got Talent. So we're going to talk about their country roots and what can we expect next. How are you ladies doing today?
Hello. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm so happy to talk with you guys. So as I was doing research on you guys, I know that you all have Mississippi roots in Poplarville. So I have family from Woodville, Mississippi, if anybody's ever heard of that place. But so I definitely wanted to hear about your beginnings. And I know that also has some ties to the name Chapel Hart. So I just wanted to get some information on your beginnings first.
Well, we are a family band, as you mentioned, and we're originally from Poplarville, Mississippi. And I always say I feel like the band started before we realized because we're cousins.
Mm-hmm.
They're sisters. I'm their favorite cousin, and we come from a first. She's our first cousin. Well, we come from a huge family in Poplarville. Our grandma had 17 kids, and there's 108 of us. So that kind of like just lets you know how many hearts there are running around. But, you know, we grew up in church singing, but in a small town in Mississippi, singing was never really seen as an actual career. So it wasn't until we moved to New Orleans that we actually kind of got things rolling. And we literally have hit every step on the musical journey, starting out singing on Royal Street, did the whole Frenchman Street, Bourbon Street thing. And then we kind of just grew from there.
Yeah. Wow. So I want to ask you too, with the country roots, did you guys always just have a thing for country music? Like how did it shift from, hey, we can sing, we can blow, to wanting to be in a country music genre?
I think growing up, we listened to a little bit of everything, all genres, all music. But I think country music was the one genre that we felt like we could relate with the most. The stories that you hear in country songs are the songs that of our lives. And so I think we just kind of naturally gravitated to country, and it was just kind of what kind of came out too.
Yeah, I think also for me, I think exactly kind of what Deb was saying, like everything was country music. If I remember being at school at nap time, they would put on Kicker 108. And like, so you had country music going to sleep. If we had a fun day, they would put on country music and we'd run around and, you know, we'd get to have the free day. And, or if you were on the bus, if you were behaved on the bus driver would turn on music. It was Kicker 108. So it was like all things, it was always country music. And, I always say, I said, when I was little, you probably can't believe it, but I used to talk a lot. And my mama would be like, Kevin, you have got to get her to sleep. She was like, I got to go to sleep. She just is talking too much. So my dad figured out that after dinner, if he put me in the car, he would ride me around. And we would listen to George Jones and Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. And I think the thing that, you know, it wasn't just that we were like riding around listening to country music. I was listening to this music and I had so many questions. And I would ask my dad, what does this mean? What is this? You know, what is an auction? We would talk about the John Michael Montgomery song Sold. And he talks about how he met this girl at the Grundy County auction. And he said, you know, he was bidding on her. Like everybody else was bidding on all the items that was there, but he had his eye set on what he wanted. And but I was like, you know, where's Grundy County? Like, what is an option? Like, how do you do that? Why is it taking so fast? And so, but I just had so many questions about this music that we were listening to, and I think that it's really where I fell in love with the songwriting and actual like country music, like as a song, like, you know, and really the writing and the storytelling of it. And I think that's where it kind of all began for me. And then once Dev is 8 years younger than me, so by the time it wasn't very long after when we were like growing up that I started driving, and my mom was just like, here, take them and take her and my little brother, take them and go. And so but so then it's kind of like, you know, in my car is where I would teach them these songs, and I would teach them the, like, you know, the songs that I learned. I teach them harmony parts, so we would ride and sing and do choreography and all the things. So it was a full on, you know,
experience,
karaoke experience. But you know, but I think also maybe it kind of was the passing down to the things that the songs that my dad had taught me, passing that down to them.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing about country music. It's the stories. You know, a lot of the songs are literal stories. And so like you're listening and it's like top tier, I would say, songwriting. No offense to any other genres, but something about country music is just straight up storytelling. You know, like you're going to hear a beginning, middle, and the end in that song before it's over with. So that's just one thing I think is cool about country music. And I like how you mentioned people like Kenny Rogers, of course, because when I grew up, everybody listened to everything, actually. So it didn't matter, like, if it was country, pop, R&B, whatever. Like, they just listened to everything. And I think back then, I love how just seeing people of color singing country music, because now I think people just don't realize, like, we had Charlie Pride, Ray Charles sing a ton of country music. As we know, that was his thing. So I think it's really great. So, of course, as I mentioned, a lot of people are probably familiar with you guys from America's Got Talent. So I want to ask you guys, how did that come about with you guys deciding to be on this show, and how was that experience?
I'll start though. I'll kick it off. And we were talking with someone the other day, and they said how she saw in another interview where we talked about turning no's into motivation. Mm-hmm. And I realized not too long ago that literally turning no's into motivation is what got us to AGT. And that was, you know, people would tell us, we have a bunch of friends like in the music industry, and you know, a lot of them they were like, whatever you do not go on that singing show. Don't do the singing shows. They were like, it's the quickest way to kill your career. So they're like, they're like, make your own choice. But if you go, it will be career suicide. And they were just like, every person that we talked to try to tell us to not go. And you know what, ultimately it came down to, like, we sat down and we said, listen, when we're sitting on the porch in our rocking chairs and we're telling our grandkids about, you know, life on the road and, you know, this being in the music industry, we want to just say that we did it all. Even if we go and audition and we completely fall on our faces, we want to say that we did it all. And it's just a part of the journey. But I always say, well, you know, but thank God that we did go. But I imagine Deb can probably tell you a little bit more about the process. But I just thought that was the coolest. That was the coolest thing. And she was like, can you give me an example of one of those times that you turned no into motivation? I was like, going to AGT.
Yeah, so we initially were not even planning on auditioning. It was someone, you know, reached out and like, you guys should audition for America's Got Talent. We were just like, no, we're on the road, we're doing shows. So we weren't even thinking of doing anything like that. And the same week that auditions were, we were scheduled to go out on a run with the Indigo Girls, but the run ended up being canceled due to somebody having COVID. So we were like, Lord, is this you? Like, are you working this out? So we were like, it just, the timing of everything, it just felt right. And so we were like, let's just go, let's do it. And what we thought was going to be like a show up and audition kind of process was absolutely not that at all. It was like a 3-day process. We had to wear the same clothes. We were tired. We didn't even get to audition until like day 3, very end of day 3. And by that time, I think production was over it. We were over it. Everybody was over it. They were like, look, they don't have any more golden buzzers. Just go out there, give it your all. Try to get at least 3 yeses.
Push us on stage.
And go. So we went out there, and literally it was so loud. I remember it being so loud. And we were nervous. But we were like, look, once we got out there and we started talking to everybody, and then the music started, it was like, okay, wait, this is just a Chapel Hart show. Like, we got this. Let's just have fun with it. And Lord, I don't think any of us could have ever imagined what came out of that experience. But like Danica said, we are so glad that we trusted our gut on it, and we went and did AGT.
Wow. I love it. And I love how you said also just sometimes that no is your motivation, because again, I think a lot of times people can't process rejections or things not working out, but things are always working in your favor. So just for that reminder, because and it just also too, just something that somebody may advise you, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. But what's meant for you is not meant for them, you know, so they don't see things the way you see it. That vision, that gift that God gave you, they said it gave it to you. It's not, they're not supposed to understand. So that's just another testimony to see how you guys did that. And of course, you guys are now. So that's amazing. So I wanted to ask you guys about somebody I definitely love, Miss Dolly Parton. You guys did a big one doing that. You Can Have Them, Jolene, because we know Jolene is like one of her signature hits. Jolene's a bad one, because I'm like, whoa, Jolene just, now we got the new version of Jolene, like she's just a bad one, you know. But I want to ask you guys about that song, You Can Have Them, Jolene. What made you guys decide to do that response song? And I love the twist on it, so I wanted to get the background on it.
Well, we've always been Dolly Parton fans, and it was actually during COVID. We were quarantined out on Lake Pontchartrain, and we had taken over this whole little marina restaurant area, and we were doing a cover video of Dolly Parton's 9 to 5. And if you go back and watch that cover video, in the first scene, Deb comes in, and she has on before she puts on her apron, she has on a shirt that says "You Can Have Him," signed Jolene. And Danica was already in the kitchen, and she was like, "You can have him, signed Jolene. Wait a minute, who does this ever think she is? How is she gonna give me something that don't even belong to her?" And she's like, "You know what? As a matter of fact, you can have him, Jolene." And then when she said that, it was like, I feel like all of the lights got a little brighter. Like we were all like, oh, wait a minute, we got to do this. And honestly, during that process, because you know, as an artist, like you come across 1,000 great ideas a day, and you're like, okay, I have to do something with that. I have to do something with that. Yeah. But You Can Have Him, Jolene was like one of those. I guess maybe it was just so poignant, it kind of stuck with us. And then when we finally sat down to write it, like the same energy that was in the room whenever we were filming that day was the same energy that when we wrote it, recorded, and it even got down to doing the music video and all. Because, you know, sometimes there's a little something that gets lost in translation. But I feel like this song just had so much energy and life in it. It like had no choice but to be what it became.
Yeah. And I think also too, like, you always, it kind of took me back to riding in the car with my dad and asking those questions, and, you know, knowing the song Jolene. And it's like, in 1974, I can see how it would have been perfectly okay to be like, listen, look, I've married this man. I didn't train this man. Look, I need him back. Thank you. He's mine. And this little fling is over. Okay. He's coming home.
It was a stand by your man.
It was a stand by your man days. You know, I get it. You put in that work.
In the city girl day.
You know, it's no way that from 1974 to 2024, we still fight over the same man. So, you know, it was, but I absolutely love that too, because when we had an interview at CMT, and we played the song for them before it kind of came out to anybody. And after we finished, it was a Zoom call, and there was like 20 people on the Zoom call, and everyone was quiet. And Leslie Fram, at first we were like, we have one more song if y'all didn't like that one. And so, but Leslie Fram finally spoke, and she said, in 50 years of country music, no one has ever said that. And we were like, what? And so, you know, it really was I think it was a bit of a confidence booster, because it felt like we were in the right space at the right time, you know, writing the right music. And, you know, it was just one of those moments for us, I think.
Right. I think that song is kind of like lightning in a bottle because you're right. That is the typical country music songs from back in the day. Tammy Wynette, Stand By Your Man, let's, we gonna beg for him. No, like you can't have him, but you modernized it, and I think it's just a staple too from what country music is also doing now. It's not what we always think. It's not what we think is gonna look like too. So I just think it's great, and especially for that is a classic, from Dolly. So I just think it's amazing. So speaking of, you guys have gotten some amazing blessings. I mean, I'm a fan of, well, the former, because I know she's no longer with us, but from the coal miner's daughter herself, Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton, all these, Tanya Tucker, all these people that have given you guys their blessing. I know that has to be amazing. So I want to ask you about your Grand Ole Opry performance. That is huge to be performing at the Grand Ole Opry. So I have to hear about that experience, and also what does it feel like that you guys were able to get those blessings from these amazing titans, queens in country music?
Well, I'll start on at least on the people who came before us, like that. Having all of those women kind of co-sign us, I think, is probably one of the biggest honors in the world, because it's like, these are the women that we grew up listening to, and for them to kind of be like, okay, girls, I see what y'all are doing, and I love it, and to, publicly say that they love what we're doing and they're showing their support, I think is one of the coolest things in the world. I'm like, honestly, we don't care about the label don't want us. Okay, that's fine. But Dolly knows who we are. And Tucker knows who we are.
Loretta challenged us to do the same thing with one of her songs, which we could eat like a step even further.
Yeah.
To show like their confidence in our ability as, as performers and songwriters.
I feel like we always say she could have very well just been like, y'all, that was incredible. I loved it. I listened to it every day. She could have just said that. But when she was like, now what y'all can do to one of mine, I said, come on, auntie. She said, some more songs in there. I know it. And so, and like you said, like she's no longer with us, but which, was the heartbreaking part. But I think the best part of the part that came out so beautifully was the fact that even though she passed away, her fans weighed in, and they just, it was like comment after comment. It was like, Loretta would have loved this. She would have put her stamp of approval on it. Man, this was right up. She wish she could have done a collaboration with y'all. Wish she could have sang on it. She would have loved it. And so when we were watching those, I always say you want to either do it justice or you want to do it better. And I don't think we could have done it better than her song Fifth City, but it feels like we did it justice. And I just, like I said, like just even Tanya Tucker on our in the finale of AGT, she sent us a message, and I always tell people our last song was terrible. They surprised us with so many things. We were so emotional, and so we literally just cried through our entire song. But right before that, Tanya Tucker sent us a message, and she was like, "I see what you girls are doing. Keep hanging in there. Y'all got some good stuff. Y'all got some good songs." And then for her to invite us out to join her to open for her in Canada. It just says a lot, because we even now we're like, can we open for you? We're trying to ask some of our friends in country music, can we open for y'all? Can we come? Can we sing a crusade? But and sometimes I think like when you feel like you're in the same box or same competition level as another artist, sometimes it's hard to be like, no, come over, you can come over for me. And so, but it was the older women who were like, come on, look, come get your little stage time. And so for that, we'll forever be thankful. And like you said, I always tell people, if you want to get me talking, you talk about the Grand Ole Opry. Yeah. They have truly become our family. And I always say, like, that's the pinnacle of country music. Like, we're all really just working to pray to be Opry members one day. And
we like to call ourselves members in training.
We're Opry members in training. We're just trying to do everything. We're trying to hang out with Opry members, try to watch what they're doing, try to watch people like Vince Gill. And it's like, I always say we'll never, I think no one will ever be as kind as Vince Gill or not as nice as Vince Gill, but we're all striving to be. So we're in training, and but there's so much wisdom there, and there is so much, there isn't one person who hasn't said, if there's anything that I can do to help, you let me know, and not meant it. And
and I think
one thing that like we love so much about like being blessed enough to even go back as much as we do to the Opry. But I always say the thing I can probably closest equate it to is like going to your grandma's house after church on Sunday, and you know you got family from all over just hanging out. Because whenever you're backstage, it doesn't matter. I mean, these are country legends, icons, and they're sitting in their rooms with their doors open. You walk past and hey, girls, come in here. Let me talk to you for a little bit. You're like, me? But I feel like the Opry kind of like it sounds a little cliche, but literally everyone there, it's like you're part of the family.
Wow, that's awesome, and that's great to hear. And I definitely feel like you guys have that spunk like Loretta Lynn had, because just like you said, like she was about that business. Like,
Okay.
yeah, she was so different.
It was hard. I said it was. I always say it was hard. It wasn't too hard rewriting Jolene, kind of flipping the state of Jolene. I said because Dolly was just kind of sweet and kind of was like, "You're so beautiful. I can see why he loved you. You got this beautiful hair and these beautiful eyes." Loretta said, "Honey, if I catch you talking to my man again, I'm gonna grab you by the hair of the head and I'm gonna show you." And I said, "See, now that is so not you." Like, so Loretta just had that. I always say there's women like Dolly and there's women like Loretta. We're probably more like women like Loretta.
Right, because Loretta was like, look, you ain't woman enough to take like she was a little
you can try.
So I love that.
Woman enough.
So I want to ask you guys, of course, like I said, and I'm sure you guys are probably sick of this question, but I do have to ask. So, you know, Cowboy Carter had a lot of talk and rumbles about that. And the thing about Cowboy Carter, I think it awakened people that forget that we are a part of country music. So, like, what was your thoughts on it? Because, like I said, I think a lot of people just, I don't know why they associate that we're people of color aren't a part of the country music genre when we really are. So I think it, you know, brought a lot of conversation, obviously, you know. So do you think did it help or hurt? Because I think some people kind of forgot that we were already a part of country music. It was the thing that kind of boggled my mind. So like, what was your thoughts on that whole Cowboy Carter talk and everything?
Well, I'll kind of kick it off because I do feel like, you know, there are definitely positives and negatives that came from it. But one of the positive things that I have to say, it definitely, like you said, it shined a light on the country genre as a whole, and in two different ways. It shined a light on Black artists that are already existing in the country music space, and also people as consumers and as listeners, people who might not have generally listened to country music, that might not have been their go-to. They're starting to tune in. So it's like, okay, well, let me see what else is going on in the genre. So like, as far as like just overall awareness, I have to say that it has done a lot.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that I love about it is that or the thing I said, there were so many like debates of, is it country? Is it this? Did she come in and disrupt the country music, or did she come in and pull up all of, you know, all the Black women in country music? Like Tree said, I think that there were pros and cons, but the thing that first and foremostly, I love that she jumped out to do a country record. I always say I love that music we as people give music a color, a denomination, a this, a that. Music just is. And it's like, you know, you can blindfold somebody and, you know, and it doesn't matter what color they are. If there's a hip hop artist, if they start rapping, and when they start rapping about their experiences and the things that are authentic to them, the community, the hip hop community goes, I don't know who that is, but let's put him on. Like, this is fire. And I think it's the same in country music. When you start singing and you start writing and you start talking about, you know, growing up and running barefoot down the street, and you know, as Tree always says, her first standard she knew how to drive was a tractor. Or she learned how to drive as a tractor. And when you start telling those stories and people go, dang, that's exactly how it happened to me. Like, that's exactly, then when you're doing the thing that is authentic to you and you're connecting and resonating with the people in that community, in that genre, in that space, I think that, you know, there's a magic in that, like, as is. So I think that it matters not. And also crossing over is just hard. I think, I think Darius Rucker had to take some slack when he first got in. It was like, hey, that dude from Hootie and the Blowfish, he ain't country. But it's having the staying power to stay, and you keep making records and you keep showing up. And those same people turn around and be like, man, I love Darius Rucker. He's got my favorite album, blah, blah, blah. So, I just think that, I think that I think that Beyonce, making Cowboy Carter it really was a blessing in many ways, though, because it had people saying, well, look, there are these African-American women and men in country music that, we weren't even looking for, and then now like I've said the other day, I said, we now have people who show up to our gig who they go they'll wait in the meet and greet line and they go, look, we don't like country music, but we wanted to show up. We wanted to buy the ticket. We wanted you to know that we support you. And, if we could just have our faces in the place, that we just wanted to do what we could. And that just blessed my heart. I was like, oh, thank you. And so, I think they really brought an awareness to it. And, like I said, I'm super grateful that she was, she was ready. Because also, she said in an interview that she'd been wanting to make a country record for a really long time, and for whatever reason, at one point the time wasn't right, and then it didn't feel right, and she wanted to do more in the music, wanted to do more research. But I'm glad that she was able to get her work of art out. And as we see, Beyonce is who she is, Queen Bee is who she is. And it shook the world, it shook the music world, and not just country music. I think the entire world of music was shook by it.
Most definitely. And it did bring up a lot of conversation. And I think one of the positive sides of it was like, okay, wait a minute. These are other artists of color who had been in the game for such a long time. And especially when she included some on the album. So it was really great, that she was able to start that conversation. So I wanted to ask you guys too, were there any challenges that you guys have had, breaking into this genre as a young women or women of color, or just starting off new and fresh? Were there any challenges that you guys faced? And if so, how did you guys overcome them?
I think with just like anything, and we have definitely had our fair share of challenges and struggles and no's and ups and downs is an understatement. But I think one thing about it, being independent artists, it's super difficult. This industry is crazy, and just trying to break in, there are millions of artists every day trying to break into the genre or, into the industry, period. So I think just being independent and learning to still handle all of the things in the band, then having to do the business side and pretty much running this entire thing and funding this entire thing on our own it's very difficult. But we just learn we take a lot of, what is it called? You just kind of roll with the punches, I think. And every time we get told no, I think we just reset and just figure out how else we can make it happen. How else do we make this work? How do we continue to keep ourselves on the road? And it really comes back to our fans who buy tickets and buy the merch, and they do all the things and whatever they can really to help us stay on the road and help fund what we're doing.
Yeah. I think also too, a big struggle is breaking the perception of tradition. I think, and that's what I always say. I always tell people I don't ever blame country music for, not getting us a record deal or not opening the door. Because as a business model, you do what works and you put it on paper, and from just far back as you can know and remember, you can put a male in a tight white t-shirt and tight jeans, and they are going to flock to those stadiums every time. So as a business model in country music, men work, and but also, so it's part of the struggle has been working past the mindset of tradition. And sometimes it's working 3 times as hard to show that you've got the songs, you've got the chops, you can be out on the road, that, there's nothing about being a woman that holds you back from anything that the men are doing, that, and even white women in country music have a hard time with that. We've got so many just close friends, and we can probably name 50 of them, but there's probably 3 of them being played on the radio. So we're all kind of like, you know, facing similar struggles. But you know, being Black women definitely is it's just one more
just add on the pile.
yeah. And but it just, you know, you can have the attitude that, you know, I'm Black, so they're not letting me in, or you can just keep working hard. You can keep showing up and you keep writing the music. And you know, it's all about the stamina to be in this industry. It's surviving. It is, you know, I think it was Craig's daddy on Friday said you live to fight another day. And so you might get knocked down today, but you got to get up tomorrow. And you at least have another day that you can write again, you can sing again, you can. And so it's just really trying to keep an optimistic view on your artistry and the industry. Because honey, it is sometimes on a day-to-day basis, it's enough to knock you to your knees and push you out the industry, and you know, or a lot of times you look at artists like Lauryn Hill and you see why she left just the music business, and she was such a talented singer and vocalist and lyricist.
But girl, get it. Okay.
But that, like I said, the business of music, it's enough to bring you to your knees. So surviving and, you know, finding the people who help you get through it is really like the biggest thing. And, you know, the biggest thing that you really want to look for, I think, when you're building this career.
So speaking of resetting, I know you mentioned like sometimes you just have to reset. I want to ask you guys, we do talk about mental health a lot on our program. So I just want to ask you guys, you know, I mean, you're in a very complex industry. We all know the music business, there's a lot. The business is longer than the word show. So, you know, it's show business. Obviously, there's a lot behind the scenes that the artists deal with. So how do you guys, you know, cater to your mental health with touring, business? Just you have to cater to yourself. So what are just some of the practices that you guys have to cater to your mental health and wellness?
Well, I'll kick it off. One of the things, especially because, like you say, with touring and everything, like, you know, everybody likes to say, find your happy place or create that happy space. But as an artist, especially an independent artist, sometimes that can't be a physical place. So you have to learn how to, you know, maybe it's put on your headphones, listen to a playlist, but like get into your own mental happy space and try to create that peace wherever you are, and just don't get too caught up in the rat race. And a lot of the times our fans will tell us, you know, sometimes just slow down, but kind of like just learn to appreciate the things that you've accomplished thus far, and don't try to like keep up with this person or the next person, and just, you know, stay
set before you.
Wow. So one of the things I want to ask you too, with our program, we do believe in self-love. Self-love is the fuel to have that confidence, the fuel to turn that no into a yes, the fuel to motivate to accomplish your dreams, and to also be a trailblazer and to be different. So I want to ask you guys individually, how do you guys define self-love, and what role has it played in your life?
I think self-love is just kind of, I feel like when you get to a place where you can get, like when you truly start to understand yourself, because I'm not going to say completely understand yourself, because we are constantly evolving as people. So I think just getting to a place where you can understand yourself and learn to trust yourself, I think for me, that is one of the biggest forms of self-love, I guess you could say.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, like getting to know yourself and understanding yourself, but also understanding when and how and where to set those boundaries to protect yourself and protect your peace.
I guess if we're talking mental health and self-love, I think that kind of like Tree said before, it's finding the time to make the time to check yourself. And sometimes, you know, there's a lot going on, and like, you know, with us, it's interviews, it's radio, it's this, it's that. But sometimes it's knowing when to just say, hey, listen, look, I need a minute. I need a minute to go and find the way to center yourself. Find those affirmations. I would see all the time on TikTok where the moms would be doing the little girl's hair, and they say, I am courageous. I am beautiful. I am strong. I am patient. I am. And it's fun. And I used to say to her, I said, as corny as it may sound, as weird as it may feel, do it, because when you speak those things, you give them life. And so on the days that you really don't feel like that you're beautiful, and you don't feel like you are kind, and you don't feel patient, you feel frustrated and on edge, as you're saying those things, they're already making way in the world and in the universe to make space for it. So you may not feel beautiful in the moment, but if you can just say it, the words will start to kind of they'll attach to it. And by the time it makes it back to you, you'll start to feel that beauty. You'll start to feel that love. You'll start to feel, so always say, be careful what you say and speak about yourself and to yourself. And, you know, a lot of times we go, I can't do this. Oh man, this is, or this. I used to always say, Lord, I am the most unluckiest person, but unlucky things would happen to me. And I said, it's what, and finally our manager said, it's what you're saying. Like, if you say that, that's what catches up to you. He was like, so start saying I'm lucky. Like, start saying, man, I love when I find a $20 bill on the ground. It just always, but you know, and I was like, that's so weird. But I started to just kind of change what I said about myself. And, you know, and it really does start to turn that self-love. And then you go, look, you know, even on the days that you're inside, kind of the days that where your emotion kind of gets away from you, so you just can't grab it. There's something in the back of your head, there's something in the back of your heart that just knows, like, you know, just be kind. You got to learn to give yourself grace. But if you can give yourself a little grace and say, look, I may not feel it today, but I'll be back tomorrow. Or, you know, I need a couple of days, but I'll be back to it. So I think just what you say to and about yourself is so important, and it's vital to your mental health and your self-love.
I love it. Yes, because there's definitely power in the tongue, the way we speak about ourselves. And I think sometimes we take that lightly, you know, because we'll say little things, but whatever we speak of ourselves, what we're declaring that for our lives. So that's so important with self-love, is to speak highly of yourself. Just like we don't want to say anything bad about somebody else, but what about you? You have to
right.
So I definitely thank you for that. Now, before we end everything, I want to put you guys on the spot. Now, you had to come up with a playlist of some hits, some country hits. It could be current, past. Come on, give us that playlist on what we can put on that phone for that next drive or whatever. What's a good playlist for us?
I'm playing almost anything Gretchen Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, she has the catalog gives everything from a girl's night out to being in the bed heartbroken with the lonely.
Okay, so pick a Gretchen. So I think we can probably go through maybe like two or three fast rounds.
I'm gonna say all jacked up Gretchen Wilson.
Is this like road trip?
Maybe so. Yeah, let's say road trip. But also too, I think that you gotta have the ups, and like you gotta have some ballads, some you know, put your arm out the window and be like, yeah. So but I'm gonna have to put Garth Brooks' The Dance on the list.
Okay. And I don't know, like, this is my personal driving song, probably every time we get into the truck. Johnny Cash's I've Been Everywhere, man. We listened to it a lot growing up, but I feel like even now, I'm just listening to like him name all the cities. It's like, man, we really do be on the road.
Okay. We need like quickly like two more.
Oh, okay, two more songs. Okay, so I'm gonna do Hide the Wine, Carly Pierce, and then I'm also gonna do Here for the Party, Gretchen Wilson.
Okay. Also, I guess if I've got to take one, I gotta put in 9 to 5 by Dolly. Like, okay. Don't. It does get you going. And then let's see. I guess if I had to take, I'm gonna do my second one after yours because she's so many. I can't.
Okay, now I thought we were still gonna keep talking because I'm still thinking. Oh, well, you know what? I could probably add "Don't Think About It," Darius Rucker. I need something I can sing along to and just lose myself for a little bit. And then, you know what? Number 2, not a very well-known group, but this is definitely like, now I can't imagine getting on the road without hearing it. But "Lend Me Your Heart" by Ryan Nacy and Buffalo Gospel. That is such a beautiful song.
Yes.
One more.
Just one.
Vince Gill's
anything.
Well, whenever you come around. And I say Vince Gill, but our friend Wendy Moden covered Wendy, she was a runner-up on The Voice, I think maybe season 20 or something like that, or 19 or 20. And she got a chance to honor Vince Gill with "Whenever You Come Around." And that used to be my favorite Vince Gill song until Wendy sung it. I said, Vince, she done snatched it from me. I was like, I used to play yours all around the house. And he said, I think Wendy Moten's version is better. He said, it's my favorite Vince Gill song as well. And so we joke about it. But whenever you come around, it's probably got to go on the list too.
I think that's pretty solid.
That's a pretty solid starter kit.
I love it. You guys did a good job. And I actually interviewed Wendy a few weeks ago. So go back.
Really?
You guys get a break.
Isn't she the best?
I love her. I love it. I just, like I said, I love talking to you musicians, obviously, but Wendy, she's top class. Like she's top tier. Like, I love her.
I'm always like, Wendy, when can we just come to your house and sit down and chit and chat? Because I just want to pick her brain and get all the wisdom, and also to tell her snatch some of those vocal cords, and I just want to put them in mine, because my girl, when I say people are always like, y'all can sing the phone book.
No, she really
make a menu, a Chinese restaurant menu, and just tear it up.
Yes.
Period.
Oh my gosh.
I love Wendy. She's awesome. So, but before we end everything, what can we expect next? Like, where can people catch you? I know you guys have Glory Days. Like, what's coming up next for you guys?
Well, actually, in 2 weeks, we're getting ready to head back to the UK, and we're going to be doing the Long Road Festival. We've got some shows in London as well as Glasgow, and we're going to be doing an Armed Forces tour, so we can bring a little joy to our troops overseas. So we're going to be in Japan, and then after that, we are hitting the road on our Christmas tour.
Yeah, we're getting ready to release our very first Christmas album, October 25th. It's going to be called A Heartfelt Family Christmas. So we are super, super excited about the end of this year. We got some exciting things. So y'all make sure that you're following us on all social media platforms for show tickets and merch. ChapelHart.com it's a one-stop shop. You can get everything.
And I think we're going to be in Switzerland in September as well. But I just say all of that to say we'll barely be in the US. So go check those dates. And if we were even close, I always say if it's within a 3-hour drive, I would take it. It's a fun show. It's a family-friendly show. It is, it's not very many things that you can bring the whole family out to nowadays. But it's fun, and you'll get to hear some of your favorite Chapel Hart songs. We cover some of our just favorite songs in general, and it's a fun experience. So I always tell people, go check that website, see if we're coming close to you. If we are, get your tickets, because I promise you it will be the best dollars that you have ever spent.
Wow, I love it. This has been an amazing conversation. I'm so grateful to have the chance to talk to all three of you. And like I said, I just love this conversation. I love country music, and I like Carrie Underwood's Maybe Next Time He'll Think Before He Cheats, which that's kind of like a song to get you a little upset, but I love that song, but I just have to throw that in there. But I definitely love talking to you guys, and I know you guys are going to just have like such a long career, and I just thank you all for what you're doing. You're bringing more conversations to country music, and I just love what you're doing, like the place that you guys made for yourselves in this industry. And I think you're a great example, just from starting from America's Got Talent, just to show people, hey, don't listen to those no's. Don't let these outside voices stop you for pursuing your dreams. So thank you guys again for this conversation. And you guys make sure you follow the Chapel Hart Band on all their social media networks. And like they said, if they're in town near you, even if it's a 3-hour drive, get behind that car and listen to those songs on that playlist and check them out. And just remember too, like we talked about some things with music, but they also are an example too, like I said, follow your dreams, pursue it. Don't let other people talk you out of your blessing. Nothing that's meant for you is meant for you. It's not meant for them. So their opinion does not matter. So follow your dreams. And guys, remember, you can catch this episode and more, www.goqueen.com. Make sure you be safe and go love yourself. I think that
she's a queen about a business, working hard on a mission, head high, purpose driven, crown on.